If you have over $200,000 sitting stagnant in your bank, retirement account, or home equity, then you're literally losing money. On this show, you learn how to get that money working for you consistently and conservatively. Learn to grow your nest egg with your host, Sean Winslow. Let's dive in.
Hey, Greg, thanks for coming on the show. How are you today?
Sean, I am so excited to be here, and thank you so much for having me on.
Hey, no, thank you. It's a real honor. I know you're a busy guy, W-2, capital raiser. I think I read that you were a basketball player too. So,
yeah, once upon a time, I was a basketball player, and I met my wife when we played at the University of Virginia, and my wife was actually a player, and I just had a uniform.
Hey, you don't have to say that though. You had a uniform. You were a player.
Hey, I had a really good seat at all the games.
That's right. So yeah, let's jump into that. So who is Greg? What does Greg do, and how did he get into real estate, and what does he do now?
Yeah, so I grew up on Long Island, New York, and kind of a middle class family, and the way we were brought up, it was more of get a good job, save your money, and just hope that you have enough when you're done. And as I've gotten older, it's really become crystallized on me and my wife and I that we may not be able to save enough. We may, but what we wanted to do is start building our wealth and to have an income stream, multiple income streams for when we retire. And that's what really led us to multifamily.
That's awesome. So your W-2, what do you do now?
So I work for a health and fitness company in Charlottesville, Virginia, and I've done that for about 10 years. And before that, I'm actually a recovering college basketball coach. I coached at South Carolina and American University, and had great experiences traveling the country, traveling the world, and basketball took me all over the place. But when my son was born, it was kind of a grind to be in that business, and I got out of coaching. And I made my way to Boise, Idaho, where I developed 77 condominiums with my father-in-law and brother-in-law.
Wow.
And that was really my first foray into real estate. And it was an absolutely eye-opening experience, mostly because we developed condos right before the 2008 downturn. And as you know, most condominium projects did not work out so well. But really what I took from that is I had the experience of the tougher side of real estate, where not everything is rosy and rents are rising and anyone could get into it. So it was a real eye-opening experience in my first foray into real estate.
I still have yet to do a development. I hear a lot of nightmare stories, so I don't know if I'll ever get into it. Maybe one day. But
I think mine was just bad timing.
Yeah.
But it's a wonderful way to take a vision and build it from nothing, and it's a really cool way to be in real estate, but it takes a lot of work.
Right, and that's what I love about it, because you're creating something,
Mm-hmm.
you're improving a community, which is awesome, and just the fact of creating something that you get to design every aspect of it and put it together, and it turns into something that people will be thrilled to call a home.
Yeah.
But multifamily. So you went the multifamily route. So how did you exactly get into multifamily, and what are you doing within the multifamily space right now?
Yeah, so it took another downturn for me to get back into real estate.
Okay.
About March of 2020, when the world shut down because of coronavirus, my brother and I, who's a lieutenant in the FDNY, got together and said, "Hey, let's really take a look at this apartment thing and really study it and see what's going on." And we went down the route of joining a coaching community, the Jake and Gino community, and really learning and networking within the multifamily sector. And we decided to, hey, let's start calling brokers, let's start getting on the list, let's see if we can put together a multifamily deal. But what we found was not only is it a crowded space, but the demands of our W-2 jobs, my brother being a firefighter and me in the fitness and wellness industry, really didn't lend itself to being an operator of multifamily. So that's where, through the coaching program, we were able to raise money and get into our first syndication with Chris Jackson and Sharpline Equity in York, Pennsylvania. And he kind of took us under his wing and kind of showed us the ropes. And it was a great experience to get into our first syndication by raising money and seeing what that's all about.
Oh, that's awesome. So the raising money, that hits home. That intrigues me. I was once licensed, as I think my listeners know. I had Series 7, 66, 63, all that good stuff. So I could sell securities and get paid for it. We didn't do real estate. We did, funds, ETFs, mutual funds, all that some different types of private placements. But I believe that's what you're doing now. You're licensed to raise money. And that, like I said, hits home. That it's really intriguing to me because listeners, in order to do that, you have to work for a broker dealer. So when I was in the business, I worked under a broker dealer. They held my license, and that allowed me to then sell securities and get paid for it. And now you might ask, well, Sean, why don't you just create a brokerage firm for Greenbrier Capital Group? Well,
Right.
if I was able to do that, I probably wouldn't be having a podcast because I would have a lot of money to create a brokerage firm. So
Right.
that's why. So you need to then go join a brokerage firm that already exists. And they license you, and then they offer the products. So let's just jump into that whole dynamic. It's funny that I came from that space, and I didn't even really I knew it existed, but not to the extent that we're about to jump into. So if you could just provide the listener with a little bit of background of what that looks like and how kind of you operate within that sphere.
Right, Sean, you come from the broker dealer world, and in the real estate world, there's a million different ways to make money. And
Yep.
that's the one thing I had to relearn. It doesn't have to be a linear path in what you're doing. So we came across a broker dealer that specialized in real estate private placements or real estate syndications. So we took the opportunity to get licensed with our Series 82 and our Series 63. And we joined a broker dealer that has 8 multifamily operators and 1 self-storage operator. And those are the people that we could raise money for. They're experienced operators. They've been doing it for years. They have exits under their belts. And what our broker dealer has allowed us to do is we just now concentrate with Cityside Capital. We concentrate on developing our investor base and saying, hey, how can we take the busy professional and say, this is the way to get into real estate, where you don't have to deal with the toilets, the termites, and the tenants. And busy professionals so far over this past 18 months have raised their hand and say, yes, we want to be a part of real estate. We love the depreciation. We love the cash flow. We love the potential exits. How can we become involved? And so at Cityside Capital, that's all we do right now is raise money. But being under a broker dealer, the broker dealer is a great way to vet all of the operators. And they do a market study, they do a third-party underwriting, they do a legal check. So when our investors put money with an operator, with a syndicator in a project, they have the comfort of knowing that it's not just what the syndicator is saying. We have a third party checking all of the numbers, the market, and all the legal to make them more comfortable making an investment.
That's great. It provides that extra layer of security for the investor, which is very important because we're talking about
Absolutely.
people's hard-earned money and that they've worked, hard for, and they don't want it to disappear. Some people can't afford for it to disappear, but they want to have the benefits of real estate. So I really like that. And, like you said, they're doing due diligence on the operator. So correct me if I'm wrong, but not just any operator can, reach out to this broker deal and be like, hey, can you, bring your investors to my investment? They have to approve them, correct?
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
anyone could reach out to our broker dealer, and we actually bring operators and say, hey, why don't you take a look at this operator? But not everyone's going to make the cut.
Right.
Whether they don't have enough experience, they don't have any exits under their belt. It's one of those things where it's not made for everyone. And our broker dealer is very selective in who we're able to raise money for.
Yep.
But
Yep.
you know what it does for Cityside Capital? It takes that time consuming piece of will this operator be able to deliver on what they're saying? It kind of takes the guesswork and the due diligence out of our hands, and it puts it into a professional's hands.
Right. Which is a question I get all the time, which I should, right? When I'm talking to prospective investor, they want to know, what have I done? How have I done it?
Mhm.
When you run into this, what have you done? And which they should know, like, how big's your team? What do you do for due diligence? How do you underwrite? Like all the
Absolutely.
important things. What happens if I need my money back? Like all the important questions, what falls on me instead of with you, it falls back on like how you said, the professional who's been doing it for years, and then you can solely focus on bringing your investor money in and finding more. Which to me, that's very powerful. So now that investor, they invest with you, or you're raising money, you're getting them to raise their hand that, hey, I
Mhm.
want to invest in the next deal. So do they get to pick the deal that they want to invest in, or is it more just like, hey, we're the next one that's available, we're going to deploy the funds? How does that work?
Yeah, so being with this broker dealer, we have access to a lot of deal flow,
Yep.
and it's a diversified group of operators geographically, the size and the different A, B, or C class workforce housing. Beautiful places in Sarasota, Florida. There's all different levels of what an investor can choose from, and not every deal will speak to every investor.
Right.
Some investors are really interested in workforce housing. How can I provide better housing for people that are not in an A class property? And then other investors will say, hey, I'm really interested in this market, the Phoenix market. It's a very hot market. I want to be there. Other people want no part of a hot market. So
Yep.
it's really, we try to offer a deal every month or 2 months, and we send it out to our investor list. Some people will raise their hand, others won't. But more than anything, we get to have a conversation with our investors and say, here's why we think this is a good deal. What do you think? And it's more of an education process with our investors, so they can learn more about real estate is the most important thing. Because a lot of people don't invest that first time they get the email. They'll go on our list, they'll get an
Yep.
email, they'll take a look at it and say, what is this? They may not invest until the third, fourth, and fifth deal, but we've talked through every single deal that they've seen. And that's important to get people comfortable with the
Def-
concept of real estate syndication.
Definitely. And there's two things there that I think are very important. One, you're giving them a variety of investment
Mhm.
options, which is very important. One, they could diversify just by going through your broker dealer. They have within multifamily, they can have all the different types of classes, also geographical locations, and then they can even get into self storage. So one, that's very important.
Mhm.
And then two, the fact that you can provide, opportunities every month, you're staying, top of mind to your investor list, to your investors. They're seeing, wow, these guys are doing deals all the time. They're getting used to the type of deal that you're providing, how it's provided, what it actually is. And like you said, it's an educational moment.
And that's really important too, to have that constant deal flow, because we feel like a lot of times an investor coming into a deal comes down to timing. Did they sell a smaller investment property? Did they get a bonus at work? Um, it's those things that's so personal to people that really makes a difference in their timing of when they are able to invest.
Oh, timing is everything. I get, people reaching out to me. Hey, I got a 1031 I want to send your way. Well, that's only going to work if I have a deal in that time frame.
Exactly.
It's so true. We try to do one a quarter,
Mhm.
but as you know, that doesn't always work that way. For instance, we didn't have our first one under contract until May of this year, and now we have three. So it's
Right.
it's it's a roller coaster in the traditional sense of being your own, operator syndicator. So yeah, I really like this model. It provides one variety, but two constant, opportunities. Because like we were talking about before, there's only so much bandwidth for every person and
Right.
the timing. So it might not work for you this month, but maybe this next month or 2 months. So I do really like that. So
And, the other thing about that, Sean, is that we kind of feel like real estate has a marketing problem where
yep,
everyone knows that I can get a job, invest in my 401k, I could get mutual funds, IRAs, all those sort of things. Because Wall Street they do a wonderful job of marketing. You see it on television all the time, but real estate doesn't have that marketing machine behind them. So when you talk to people about real estate syndications, it may take them seeing two, three, four, five deals before they say, "Oh, I guess this looks legit." And it's a great wealth building tool. But not only is it a wealth builder, you're getting monthly or quarterly cash flows. So you're not just waiting until you sell something, you're participating in the monthly cash flow as you go along. And that's one of the really, really great parts of real estate syndications.
Yes, that's it's funny you say that. I was just on another podcast getting interviewed, and they asked me why, you know, one, why I left my job doing what I was doing, and two, why a podcast, and it pertains to that. I said I left an institution that had anywhere from 8 to 10 figure marketing budget,
Mhm.
8 to 10 figure marketing budget. And like you said, we're conditioned to invest that way, get a good job, contribute to our 401k, our IRAs, and invest
Absolutely.
in mutual funds, ETFs, stocks, bonds. And the reason why that is because of that huge marketing budget from these huge institutions that are ingraining it in our minds. And
Absolutely.
so that's so true. And that's why I have a podcast, so I can get this out to the world that this is an option to invest in. And I try to beat this into the ears of my listeners, but it's, to me, real estate is more cost effective, it's more tax efficient, and it's a tangible asset that, one, in an inflationary, rising period like we're in, it protects you against that inflation. It hedges against it.
Yeah, Sean,
And
I think you do a great job of getting that message out to your
thanks.
listeners. I mean, you really do. Because especially with all the money sloshing around the economy right now, we're printing money like crazy, but that money is finding its way into assets.
Yep.
And you did mention inflation, having a hard asset, an apartment building, something that's, tangible. It is an inflation hedge, but really all the money that's out there right now, it's finding its way into assets. And if you're not in assets, you may not be able to participate in that ride that's happening whether you like it or not.
100%. And this is the time to get in with cheap debt rates so low.
Oh yeah.
That's another thing. You're getting in at today's dollar. So that debt, your mortgage payment's going to get fixed, but your rent's going to rise with your top line's going to rise with inflation, because as cost of living increases, so does rent. So this is the perfect time.
Right.
And it's just so cool how you guys can offer so many opportunities so frequently. Um, but where do you like? What's your next step, Greg? Are you just going to continue doing what you're doing? Do you see this as, kind of an end game for you to generate, income for you? One, do you see yourself, investing passively, and why do you think this is a great way for, your investors to passively invest?
Right. More than anything, my brother and I, with Cityside Capital, we're having a great time letting people know what we do and letting them know about the option. And it's just, when people's eyes go like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know this was available," that's satisfying for us. And getting people into their first real estate deals, people that have only invested in their 401k, that's a satisfying way to have people diversify, with their hard-earned money. So right now, we are really, really happy in the capital raising space. More than anything, we're getting the word out, and we're building our investor list. Where this goes into the future, I'm not sure, but I invest in every single one of our deals, and I'm doing it for my family and our wealth building going forward. And I'm just really excited about bringing people along for the ride. And so where are we 5 years from now? Maybe we're offering two deals a month. I have no idea. But right now, we're just really excited with telling people what we do, offering the opportunities, and kind of sitting back and letting real estate do what it does.
Putting your money where your mouth is, I think that's an important thing for all syndicators. It shows that, one, that you have a skin in the game, but two, you actually believe one in this investment vehicle, but in
Mhm.
the deal itself. So
Definitely.
I commend you on that. Um, this is when we were talking about this before, I was like, wow, this is so intriguing. This is my background. Like I knew it was out there, but not to this extent. Um, how did you find it? And is it do you feel it's a growing part of the business? And are there other broker dealers like this out there?
Oh, there absolutely is. And, my brother and I found this through networking and,
Yep.
being on great podcasts like yours, speaking with people, going to conferences, you find out what people do. And there's really, like I said earlier, there's so many different ways to make money in real estate. And this just happened to really fit into our lifestyle of where we are right now with our families and our kids and our jobs. We weren't ready to become full-time operators. So, this fit because we love multifamily, we love self-storage, and this was a way for us to be an active participant in the business.
Awesome. So let's talk about some actionable steps. What is working for you and what is not working for you when it comes to raising capital? Because I know there's listeners out there that are probably thinking, that's what I want to do. Forget
Mhm.
all the operating stuff. I just want to raise money, go talk to people and help them build wealth. So, what are some things that are working for you? What is your approach? And what are some things that maybe haven't worked?
Yeah, more than anything, telling people what you do, being on podcasts, um, when you're out and about. So the pandemic was hard because no one was going out and about. You don't
Right.
see anyone at the soccer game and those and stuff like that. But like now that the world is opening up again, talking to people at my kids' soccer games, going out and meeting friends, people are like, oh, hey, you're in real estate. What exactly are you doing? And it's not like selling insurance where people may run the other way when you want to tell them an
Right.
insurance story. People always want to talk about real estate. We like to call it the daydream investor. The
Yep.
people that look at realtor.com or Zillow all the time and say, yeah, I should really buy a place. We're trying to help that daydream investor because people are interested in real estate and they know they should probably be in it. They just don't know what steps to take to get in there. So really just speaking with people has been a way for us to help investors. Being on podcasts, going to conferences, those have been a great source of meeting investors for us. Um, for someone that is looking to become a capital raiser, more than happy to speak with anyone, whether they want to invest money or not, and just kind of speak about our experiences about being a capital raiser. Some people like to be more hands on with their real estate. So being a capital raiser probably won't be a great fit for them. Whereas I know for myself and my brother, we love talking to people and talking to people about real estate. This was just a really natural fit for us as a way to get into the multifamily space.
Yeah. So what I'm getting at or what I'm taking from that is, start one with your close network and the circles
Mhm.
that you operate in and constantly tell people what you do. What
Absolutely.
one thing that I always picked up or what I picked up from someone once that really resonated with me is the common thing when you run into someone or see someone, it's hey, how are you, right? How are you doing? And instead of saying, good, how are you, be like, hey, how are you? I'm great. I'm actually looking for, or I'm closing on this real estate
Hmm.
investment deal. Let them know what you're doing. Don't just say I'm good. Like, great. We just closed on 197 units, or, we're raising money to close on this self storage deal. Like, let them know what you're doing constantly.
And
So then,
I think it's a mindset that
right,
you get into. Like when we get out of bed, we can't wait to talk about real estate. It's something that we love. It's a passion for us. So I have no problem when someone says, "Hey, how you doing?" It's not good, fine. It's like, no, this is I'm doing great. This is what I'm doing, and I'm so fired up about it.
right, yeah. It blows my mind when people are like, yeah, I'm doing good. Just same old, same old. No, you gotta. What gets you up in the morning? What drives you? Like, what are
Yeah.
you actually doing? So then when that topic comes up, you're top of mind to that person. You know,
Absolutely.
when real estate investing. Oh, my buddy Greg, that's what he does. I'll introduce you to. And that's the importance of it. That's why Greg and I are on this episode right now. We're getting the word out. One, we want to
Absolutely.
provide value, but we'd also want people to know what we do so then we can help them in the future when it comes to that.
Sean, the other great thing about telling people what you do with real estate is that I found I get to be a connector for a lot of people, because some people are investing in single family homes and want no part of doing putting any money into my deals. But I speak to so many different people and they do so many different things in real estate. I could say, hey, you should really talk to so and so. They're raising a fund to do single family homes, or they know a really good construction guy, or you should talk to, oh, you're in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Definitely speak with this gentleman. He's doing X, Y, and Z. Being a connector, and if something ever works out for people, they are so excited and happy to pass your name along to someone else because you're making real connections with people.
That's a great point. It's that idea of reciprocity and giver's gain. You're
Hmm.
giving to them, helping them. So they're just going to feel naturally inclined to help you when that day comes. So, you're helping a single family investor out. And then when someone comes to them about multifamily, they're going to be like, nope, that goes to Greg. And that's
Yeah.
what it's about.
And that reciprocity may never come, but if someone sells their single family, like a 5-unit single family portfolio, and all of a sudden they have some money to put into something, hey, they may remember me 5 years later and say, hey,
Right.
I need to throw a couple bucks at this thing, and I'd be more than happy to talk them through it.
Exactly. Well, this is a great topic that I could honestly go on on forever.
Well, it's right in your
Um,
wheelhouse.
right. I know. It's blowing my mind. I'm so glad that we're doing this right now. So, um, yeah. So what's your kind of goal in the sense of? Do you have a goal of like how many people you're trying to grow that list to? How many people you're trying to help get into to multifamily and self storage?
We have internal goals of just helping a certain amount of people, and we're building it, which seems like every month we're building that investor list. We just finished raising money for a fund in Michigan, and we added all new investors
That's
to
so
that
cool.
fund. And my brother and I sat back and said, we're starting to reach people and different people, because we've had a lot of repeat investors in what we're doing. It's resonated with a lot of people. But when we just closed out a fund and it's all new investors, that feels really great. And, so we do want to help a lot of people kind of, secure their retirement, diversify. That feels really good for us. But there's no like, we have to help 1,000 people right now. We're just excited to get up and talk real estate with people.
That's great. No, that is such a great feeling. There's two sides of it for me when it comes to, raising money and then operating. One, from the raising money standpoint, is such a great feeling when you get that call from an investor that, you've provided them a great opportunity.
Mhm.
I have one, for example, called me and told me, "Hey, Sean, you're paying for my vacation. Thank you so much." It's a great feeling that you can just provide that for people. And then two, on the operating side, there's nothing like it when you walk on a property and tenants thank you for improving the place that they live at. That they're proud to call it a home now. It's cleaner. You've gotten out of you've gotten the bad tenants out of there. That's such a great feeling as well. So, and that's something that real estate can do for people that I love. It's just a tangible thing that can affect so many people and just do a lot of good in the world. And that's what we do. We focus on value add
Mhm.
properties that we can improve the tenant's life, the surrounding community, and then also our investors. Um, so yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that's an
Yeah.
important part that
Yeah.
I think gets overlooked sometimes.
Real estate is it's so crazy. Again, it's I said earlier, it's not linear. And one of the properties that we raised money for just had their COVID reserves returned from the bank.
Yep.
So all of a sudden there was an extra distribution for every investor. instead of their regular monthly, the regular monthly hit, there was an extra, it was 5 times the amount of the regular monthly distribution. So it's like when people get that, they're like, whoa, this is great, So, but it could pay for things like, hey, maybe we'll do an Airbnb for the weekend or something like that.
Right.
The best part about this real estate is, yes, you have the tax benefits, and hopefully there's going to be an exit where you have a big lump sum, but it's that monthly and quarterly cash flow that you could actually use the money now instead of just socking it away for retirement, which may or may never come for some people. Who knows?
Unfortunately, yeah. And that's
Yeah.
great. That's a great point. I love making those calls on distribution days because they love taking those calls because it's a good day. They got paid.
Easy to pick up the phone on those days.
Exactly. And then again, it's just putting you back top of mind. And, it's just that mindset thing that they're equating it to. But when Sean calls, it's good news. So I'll pick up Sean's phone call.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I love making those phone calls. But what you said at the last point there, it's so true. Will retirement come? And when we're providing cash flow, so when you do go to retire, unlike traditional investing, you don't have to take a step back in your lifestyle. If you've done it correctly and you've invested in income producing asset, you can maintain that lifestyle. And obviously it depends what type of lifestyle you want to live, but on par, you can maintain that lifestyle, which to me is important, to live, a dignified retirement. I don't want to take a step back
right
in my lifestyle. And so that's what I know both Greg and I try to provide through real estate. So I'm glad you brought that point up. But yeah, I love this business. I'm glad we got to connect, Greg. This has been great. So before I let you go, I want to ask you last question. And this is a question I always ask because it's a podcast on multifamily and money, because it's not what you make, but what you keep. And for me, real estate is a great way to build wealth. So one, do you believe that? I'm assuming you do because that's the business you're in.
Yeah, right.
And if so, why do you feel real estate is a great way to build wealth? And then the second part of the question is the part about keeping that money you've made. What is kind of a life hack, finance hack that you would want to share with your younger self that could, set you up for an even better life?
Sean, if I could have started this 10 or 15 or 20 years ago, I would just be so much better off. What I've learned, it's really been a learning process over this last 18 months about how this is going to affect my taxes in a positive way, how this is going to give me monthly and quarterly cash flows, and how when we sell these properties, how you just keep compounding the money you've already invested. I like to think of it as a conveyor belt, and I'm putting money into these deals year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and then all of a sudden in year 5, the year 1 deals are falling off. But I'm not taking that money out. I'm putting it right back on the conveyor belt, sometimes double the money, and year 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it's falling off again. So I'm going to invest only a finite amount of money in real estate syndications, and I'm just going to use that conveyor belt theory and just keep using that same money, that velocity of money over and over again. So Sean, if I could have started years ago, I would have, but the education that I've received in real estate and how it could help me in my personal, my family's finance, I just wish I would have learned a little bit sooner.
I feel like I hear that from a lot of people, and it's so true. And I think for those starting out, the best investment is an investment in yourself. Educate yourself first, seek mentorship, which you discussed, Greg, some type of, coaching that can get you to where you want to be, because you should never go at it alone. You should emulate the type of person you want to be. You should find that person and emulate them, and they will bring you up to that level. And surround yourself with that type of people, which Greg clearly has by all the different, coaching groups, networking groups. Now in the broker dealer firm he's part of, his brother, he's just surrounding himself with quality people that have similar goals to him that will lift him up.
And Sean, I think more than anything, especially in multifamily, it could be intimidating to start. But what I've found, and especially I'm relatively new, a couple of years into this thing, the people in the multifamily industry are givers. They want to help the newbies. They want to bring them along. They want to educate them. And in every other industry I've ever been in, it's kind of dog eat dog. Multifamily operators, the men and women that do it every single day, they're willing to give their time and talk to people. So don't be afraid to send me an email, reach out to me on LinkedIn and say, hey, what do you think about this? You may never put one dime into any one of our deals with Cityside Capital, but I may be able to connect you with someone I may know. But don't be afraid to reach out to the people that either you emulate, want to be like, or you think can help you along your own journey, because it is your own journey in real estate.
That's the beautiful part about it. You can craft your own journey.
Absolutely.
You don't have to go the same way as everyone else.
Mhm.
And that's the wonderful part about it. And you can create the type of life you want to live. It's like I've told listeners this before, is when I wanted to, create a certain type of life, I looked at other people that had similar, obviously not exactly what I wanted, but similar types of lifestyles, the financial freedom, the time freedom,
Mhm.
being able to do what I want, when I wanted, with who I wanted. And more often than not, those people were in real estate. Maybe different asset classes and sectors of real estate, but they were in real estate. And I think that's important to work for your dream, not someone else's. So find your why, find your dream, and get everything in alignment to go to that goal, to go to that dream. And you're gonna get it with a little hard work and determination.
Yeah, Sean, that's a recurring theme in what I see in the real estate industry. It's people living their own lives the way they want to live and on their terms. And when I look 5 years down the road, I look 10 years down the road, people that are in front of me that have been doing this for a long time, I'm like, yeah, they have the lifestyle that I would like, because it includes those freedoms, time, location. They have that independence, and that's really, really important for what I'm trying to build for my own family.
I love it. Well, where can the listeners find you?
You could always find me on LinkedIn. We have the Cityside Capital LLC page. And we also have our website, which is citysidecap.com. And we, reach out. We love to speak with you. Join our investor club, get on our list, find out about our deals. But more than anything, educate yourself and find out how powerful real estate can be in building your own wealth.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Greg, for coming on. I really appreciate you sharing this knowledge with everyone and your journey. I know we'll get some listeners that are going to find a lot of value out of that. So thank you. Listeners, as always, this podcast is about obtaining financial freedom. You're one decision away from doing that. It's about taking those steps so you can create the life you want to live, to do the things you want to do with the people that you love and care about. So at the end of the day, we can make this world a better place. All right, I'll catch you on the next one.
Hey, this is Sean Winslow. After being in the financial service industry for years and having candid conversations with good people just like you, I realized that so many of us are wanting an investment strategy that provides solid returns and consistent income without the bumps in the road. There's little known secret that your financial advisor doesn't want you to know. There is an investment out there that is less volatile and the returns are stronger. Get more details by going to greenbriercg.com and clicking on the free e-report. And by the way, if this show has provided you any value, then feel free to leave an honest written review and of course share it with a friend who needs it. See you next week for another great show.